What's up guys, I'm Mickey Andrade, and as you can see, I'm out here in the garage, and that's because I like to work on my vehicles myself, probably much like you. So today I'm gonna go ahead and do a basic flush and fill on my very common Japanese automobile here, and I'm gonna bring you guys along for the process. All right guys, so step one is to head down to your local auto parts store and pick up the original equipment technology antifreeze and coolant from PEAK. This stuff is formulated specifically for your vehicle. Right on the front of the bottle, your year and make of vehicle is listed so you can't screw it up. And the best part about this is it's formulated by PEAK to match the standard of your OEM coolant. Once you've got your coolant, you can step on to part two, which is getting a drain pan such as this. It has a nice open top. Literally just put this underneath your radiator, crack the valve open, and flush it into this bin. All right, so step three is to locate your radiator cap and your radiator overflow reservoir. On this modern Japanese vehicle, the radiator cap is actually on the overflow reservoir. So if you have an older vehicle, take a look on your radiator itself for a pressurized cap. And it's very important to make sure that the car is cooled off before you open that cap on either type of vehicle. So now I'll remove the radiator cap here. As you can see, it's under no pressure, which is great. We'll go ahead and unscrew that and pull it off. Taking the cap off allows you to relieve the pressure in the system. So when we open up the valve on the bottom of the radiator, the fluid will flow out freely. Okay guys, well I have the luxury of being in our home shop here today, so I have access to quick jacks, which are a hydraulic lift with lockouts. If you don't have access to that type of equipment, please use a jack and jack stands. Jack your car up properly, make sure you secure the stands underneath the car, and let's be safe when we do this job. You'll move on now to roll under the car once it's in the air safely, find the drain cock on your radiator, and we're gonna prepare to flush out the coolant. Okay, so I've removed the under panel, which most modern cars nowadays have an under tray that covers this whole area. I've removed that, it's just a few plastic fasteners, and I've located the drain cock, which is here at the lower portion of the radiator. On the back side of it is a wing nut that you can back off or tighten by spinning it. When this is opened, the coolant is going to flow out of here. So what I've done is I've grabbed a piece of 3/8 inch fuel line, and I'm going to go ahead and slip that over the collar. That way, this doesn't spill everywhere when I open the valve. It'll just drain nicely into our tank. Once the coolant stops draining, you can go ahead and remove the hose. Now it's super important to inspect your coolant that comes out of your radiator and take a look and see if there's any particles or other things in the coolant that would throw up a red flag that maybe your coolant system isn't in the best condition. This being a relatively new vehicle, the coolant came out looking really good. So I'm happy with it. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the new fluid in. If you did have rust or any of that type of stuff come out, you're gonna need to do a more extensive flush. To remove the old coolant from the cooling system, fill the system with water and run the vehicle with the heat on high for 10 to 15 minutes. Then drain the water again. This process may need to be repeated 2 to 3 times until the water coming out is relatively clear or clear. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and top the system off. Today we're using the original equipment technology for Asian vehicles. This one in particular is 1990 and up, Japanese vehicle. So this is the proper coolant as required by the original equipment manufacturer. So we're gonna go ahead and top off this reservoir until we've got enough coolant in there that it reads between the full and low level. Okay, well once you're satisfied with the level of the coolant in your reservoir, you'll want it to read between the low and the high setting. You can go ahead and prepare yourself to start the car. You're gonna wanna run the car for about 15 minutes with the heater on high to burp out any bubbles that have accumulated in the system while you're filling it. Once all those bubbles have been burped, you can go ahead and return the reservoir cap to its home position and tighten it down. It's important to then place the old coolant in a container and bring it into your local auto parts store to recycle. Okay guys, thanks for joining us today on this quick flush and fill video. We hope you learned a thing or two and you feel confident enough to try this on your own. When you do, make sure you drop by your local auto parts retailer and pick up the PEAK OET technology for your specific vehicle.